Hello, and welcome to Mind Your Head, a space for people to share their stories, talk openly and honestly about their own mental health challenges, and to give some listeners some comfort in knowing you're not alone. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we record this podcast, the Gubbi Gubbi people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Indigenous peoples. We honour their enduring connection to the land, waters and culture, and recognise their invaluable contributions they make to our communities. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Jayce, welcome to Mind Your Head, brother. It's so good to have you on today and chat more about your life.
And I'm stoked to be here. Thank you for having me.
No worries. And when people think of Jayce Cunning, they probably think, professional bike rider. But who are you outside of all of that?
I would say I'm just a fun-having idiot probably that likes to help people, likes to make sure everyone's having a good time and just tries to live life to the fullest and have as much fun as I can along the way.
Yeah, I love that. What's something that people assume about you that couldn't be further from the truth?
Oh, that's a good question.
We've got some good questions.
I think some people probably assume that I can be stuck up, which is super far from the truth because as much as I'm super outgoing and like my biggest passions in life is helping people, I'm just can be very shy when I first meet people. So sometimes I'm super standoffish and I think some people take that the wrong way. And I've had people in my life be like, when I first met you, I thought you were so arrogant. And then we become like best mates and they're like, you're one of the most fun people to be around. But I just get super shy around certain people and I think that can come off the wrong way.
I thought you're arrogant. No, it's just my social anxiety. I'm just not good at it.
It gets like
funny,
that.
Eh?
Yeah.
I feel the same too sometimes when I first sort of, especially in big crowds or you're sort of meeting people for the first time, I often lean just to be by myself.
Yeah.
I think that's my sort of comfort zone. I'm not sort of the one out there. And people might sort of have this assumption that I've got a podcast that I'm sort of outspoken or comfortable sort of going up to anyone and chatting, but most of the time, like, it's not the case.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, even, like, BMX and a bike track is, like, my place of confidence. And I, like, do a lot of YouTube and stuff, so people see that and think I'm super out there, but it's, like, growing up, I never went to parties, I never did any of that stuff, so it's, like, if I go in a social setting that isn't to do with bikes, it's just, like, stress central.
Yeah. What's one moment that have shaped your identity, but no one knows about?
I think it would be probably when my sister lost her partner.
Okay.
I think it just changed the way that I view life, view the world, view other people, and kind of changed the way that I want to live my life.
How so?
I think just like seeing how many things we stress about in life that don't actually matter. I think I used to stress a lot about, just meaningless, pointless stuff. And at the end of the day, I think the only things that really matter is the memories you create with people and just, I think, being close to the ones you love. And I think everything outside of that can essentially be solved and fixed no matter what the problem is. So I think we just got to stress less, enjoy life and create more memories.
Yeah, I love that. When was the last time you felt lost or unsure of your direction?
Oh, probably very recently.
Really?
I think right now I'm in a place of
Transition?
or confusion, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think the transition happened a few years ago, like I was just saying to you.
Yeah.
From like racing to coaching during COVID, I kind of fell into it and it got so busy and hectic that it consumed me. And now, like 4 or 5 years on, I'm at a place where it's like, I'm looking back and I'm like, if I stuck to racing, what could have been? And so many people constantly tell me that I should keep racing and I've got talent that's being wasted. But then I'm also in a place where I'm like, I've got so many clients that I don't want to let down that rely on me and that I do want to help. So I'm in a place where I'm trying to prioritize 2 things. And I've always found it hard to do that because I'm the type of person that like, when I'm in something, I'm all in.
All in or nothing.
So having 2 priorities is a struggle for me because even if I have training on and then someone's like, oh, can we train at this time? I'll always turn down my training to go help them. And yeah, that's where I'm struggling to have two priorities.
Do you feel like at this time in your life, I wouldn't say you've lost the love or the passion for it, but
I think right now my passion's back at its like highest.
really,
I think I lost the passion a fair few years ago,
yeah,
but I was too scared to step away because I think sport and racing is where I got my validation from. So I never like stepped away. And then I think that's kind of just simultaneously how I fell into coaching, because I kind of stepped away from racing and started helping others in that. But right now, like I have the itch to race. I want to race. When I'm watching other people, I'm like, I want to be out there. But yeah, so I think, yeah, just confused and
tricky little period you're in.
yeah.
Yeah. And let's talk about that racing and go back to when you were a kid. How did you get into racing, and was it part of your family growing up?
My dad raced motocross.
Oh, did he?
So I started in motocross. I got my first bike for my 3rd birthday, and you couldn't race till you were 4, and a race fell on my 4th birthday.
Sick.
So I was there racing, got to the first corner and got stuck. I was tiny, got stuck in a rut. That was the end of my first race. I just sat there in the middle of the track crying, waiting for an official to come get my bike out of the rut. And it was at a track called Coolum, and it's just a sand track. So as a kid, it's horrible.
You're getting bogged.
And then I think when I was 7, I went and watched my mate race BMX. And that night, I just like fell in love with it, bought a bike, and then started racing.
Yeah,
and that's how it kind of went. But my parents took me to BMX because they wanted me to get more aggressive in motocross, because I'd been racing for a few years then, but I'd like let people pass if they were near me and stuff.
So BMX is more aggressive than motocross. I guess the mindset and skills and stuff.
And because it's so short and sharp, like you've got 30 seconds to win or lose.
Oh, right.
And like in motocross, at the professional level, motors go for 30 minutes.
That's mental.
So whereas ours is 30 seconds. So it's like it's all or nothing from the minute the gate drops. So they put me in for that reason, and they thought the bike skills would translate. And my first night, I basically won everything, and I was addicted.
Really?
Yeah.
It was at the point in time or a moment where you realised, like, I want to take this further. I know you're at a young age, but was there a time where you went, I want to do this forever?
I can't like pinpoint the time.
Yeah.
But I was like, from as far back as I can remember, all I ever wanted to be was an athlete.
Oh, really?
That was it. Like, there was no other option. All I wanted to do was be an athlete. I was obsessed with watching the Olympics. I was obsessed with watching professional motocross riders. I'd sit at home watching triathlons on TV. Like, any sport, I'd watch it. Just because I love the idea of being an athlete and seeing how far you could push yourself and what you could do. But I can't pinpoint the time. I just remember when I was 12, I got 6th in the world. And then my parents were kind of like, it's like this, motocross or soccer, you can't do all of them if we're going to be traveling. And I just chose BMX and went all in.
Is BMX a sport where you're constantly traveling? Like the tournaments are either in Australia or most of them overseas?
Yeah, when you race like World Cups and stuff, which I never really did a full World Cup season. I was racing more here in America. Yeah. I've done a few like world titles and stuff in Europe and like done races in New Zealand and that, but mainly, the World Cups go everywhere. Yeah. Essentially.
And what's that main feeling associated to racing? What was that thing that sort of like, sort of almost made you addicted to it?
I think I just love like just trying to prove myself.
Oh, right.
Which I think has its downfalls in my day-to-day life. Yeah. But in racing, like I'm just, obsessed with like trying to prove myself and prove other people wrong. And like 2023, I hadn't raced for ages, and someone told me I couldn't beat a certain guy. So I signed up for like the Queensland title because he was going, and I just trained my ass off for like 10 weeks, and then I went there and won it. And as soon as I won it and proved that, I was like, all right.
I love that mentality though. It's like, it's almost that bit where, you know, I guess when people call you hard-headed or stubborn, I think people link it with like a negative narrative towards it. But I love that stubbornness when someone tells me you can't do something. I'm like, all right, now I've got to do it. Because you just told me I couldn't do it. Now I've got to do it. I've got to prove you wrong. I've got to prove me right that I can actually do it. Especially from like a young age, I think about sort of, you know, I think I was 8 or 9 when I wanted to play rugby professionally. And then there's so many things that factor in when you want to achieve that there's so many sacrifices and you've got to set boundaries and, I don't want to say that I lost a bit of my childhood, but there's a lot of things that I didn't do as a child growing up because I was sort of focusing on playing rugby. Did you experience those things when you're training and you're putting, racing first, you got to sacrifice other things in life, especially being a young child?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of my childhood and I think a lot of the way I still operate today comes from the sacrifices I made as a kid. Because I did soccer and stuff when I was young, but it was the same thing. My whole life from when I started BMX, I was just like obsessed with it. I'd come home from school and we wouldn't have training until 5:30 p.m. and I'd be in my gear at 3, just waiting to go to the track. And I think because of those reasons, I always sacrificed hanging out with people. By the time I got to year 12, I never got invited to anything because in the years before that, I always said no. Like people would invite me to party and I'd be like, no, I'm training or I'm going to race. And then
I'll just stop asking.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And like I finished year 12 early, missed formal everything so I could fly to America and race. I never did any of that stuff. And then I think looking back, I've never had a super tight-knit group of friends because at school I was kind of the only bike rider. Everyone was the footy group or the soccer group or AFL or track and field.
Team sports,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah.
And they all had their thing, but I was the only bike rider. And then because of that as well, outside of school hours, I would never hang out with them. So I think in a sense, my whole schooling life, I was kind of always a bit of an outcast. So I'd bounce around to groups and I had friends, but I wasn't tight with anybody.
Do you think that affected you or do you regret that part of it?
I wouldn't say I regret it, but I think it's got me where I am today, but I still look at my life right now and I think I don't know how to rely on people because I've never had anyone. Or it's not that I've never had anyone. I've just felt like if it came to the crunch, no one's ever had me.
Yeah.
So I will always do things in silence and then people will be like, oh, how'd you do that? But it's because I've just been working on it in the background on my own. And I will just kind of never rely or put my weight on anyone else. And I'll just basically rely on myself and back myself or not do it.
And how does that affect you today? Is that in terms of I don't know, making friends? I don't know what the culture's like when you're racing. Are you friends with other competitors? I can't imagine you'd be too close with people that you want to beat. But in terms of even relationships, do you find that creeping in?
I think in racing, I think it's all right. As we've grown up, a lot of us are pretty good. One of my closest mates at racing, it's 2022 maybe. There was a few races where we took each other out and we'd get off the track and we'd be sweet.
That's sick.
There'd be spectators that are fuming.
Yeah.
And then me and him were going out for dinner together.
That's cool.
Yeah. But relationships for sure.
Really?
Yeah. I think I find it super hard to open up and let someone in. And I always keep everyone at an arm's length, if that makes sense. So yeah, I actually had this conversation with my mum the other day. I'm a big talker and I text mum the other day. I was like, I need to come talk to you about something.
Yeah.
And I went to her house and we talked about that exact thing for a while. Cause I find it hard to just put my all into a certain person because I've either never had it or the people I've had it with, it's come crumbling down and ended or whatever.
So do you think it's fear?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of showing sort of your real self.
Yeah, because all the people I've done that with are no longer really in my life. Yeah. So I'm just lucky. I'm lucky I've got a really close family.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's I just go to mum, my dad, my sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Another thing sort of when you're racing, and I've always wondered this because when I'm playing rugby, my head's clear. For some reason, it calms me down, and it sort of makes me live in the moment as best as I can. When you're racing and you're flying through the tracks, you say 30 seconds it takes you to get through.
Yeah, race is 25 to 35 seconds.
What's going through your head? Is it clear? Are you thinking about, what's to the left, to the right of you? I'm guessing you know the track very well, so you know what's coming up. What's going through your head?
For our sport, it's very fast. So it's like on the gate and stuff when we're about to start, I'm clear.
Yeah.
But the moment the gate drops, everything is a decision.
Oh, right.
Because it's like if the person beside you snaps a millisecond quicker, they'll move over on you. So then you got to make a decision. Do you keep pushing? Do you back off? Do you move? What line do you want into the first corner to try and...
Oh, so you're constantly analysing every moment.
And that's what I've been very good at. Like a lot of people can't analyse that quick. And my whole career growing up, I was small. So I always was fighting in the back of the pack to pass people. So once I got older, I was good at making decisions quick and committing to them. But I think, throughout the whole race, it's more just like adapting every bit. And then if I'm in front, I'll listen to what the commentators are saying so I can know where the person behind me is.
Really?
If
so
they're close, trying to make a move and all that stuff.
So you're in paying attention to the commentators. You can hear them over the loudspeaker and you're going, oh, I know where people are now.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Really?
If I can feel someone at a certain... And I'm very good at analysing what other riders will do.
Oh, right.
So...
as in their tendencies?
Yeah.
What they like
and
to
it's
do,
the state title I won in 2023, I got third gate pick for the final. So I had qualified third. And I purposely did that. I purposely let two people qualify in front of me because I wanted them to select their gate before me because I knew what their gates were like. And before the final, I have a video on YouTube. And in the video, I'm like, this guy will go lane 1, this guy will go lane 4. So I'll go 2 because I know I can beat the guy in lane 1 and then I'll have a clear track.
So it's ultimate mind games.
Yeah, and it's exactly what happened.
Really?
He went 1, he went 4. I got out, moved over to 1, and then I didn't have to worry about anyone on my inside because I just analysed everything.
Do you bring that analysing away from the tracks?
Yeah, too much.
Do you?
Yeah.
In what way?
But just overthinking
are you an
everything.
overthinker?
Yeah. And especially when it comes to business and coaching and when I'm making YouTube videos and relationships and...
I mean, there's positive things to it, overthinking. There's also obviously some negative things. How do you think it impacts you negatively?
I think I just put too much weight on certain situations that don't really matter. Kind of like what I was saying at the start. It's I'm still trying to get better at just being it doesn't matter, whatever. But then because of racing, it's someone will do something and I'll think of exactly why they did a certain thing. And then in life, I do the same. Someone will do something and I'm there's obviously a motive as to why they've done
this.
Why'd
they do that?
Yeah. Or if they said something a certain way and then...
It's very difficult because I'm the same. When I sort of played rugby, it was all or nothing for me.
Yeah.
And I found it very difficult to switch that off when I wasn't playing and then live life and have relationships and not hold other people to the standards that I hold myself to. And it really affected sort of my relationships with not just sort of romantic relationship, but with friends, with family, that for me was all or nothing. But I couldn't understand if someone wanted to do something, a hobby or an interest or pick up a new start playing guitar or something something like that. I didn't understand how it wasn't all or nothing for them.
Yeah.
And that would freak me out. And I'll be like, why aren't you should be doing this, 10 hours a day. You should be doing something that I used to do. And I needed to learn to sort of relax and understand that, not everyone's like me. Not everyone sees the world like me. Not everyone wants to live like me. Me and Jordan, my partner, when I go to the gym, I'm going there to flog myself. I'm vomiting. I want to absolutely destroy myself. Jordan goes to the gym to get an exercise in, to enjoy herself, to have fun. And I'm thinking she comes back sometimes and sometimes she'll be not even sweaty. I'm like, did you even do a workout? What did you even do?
Yeah.
And we always have conversations about it. I don't go there to flog myself.
See, I'm envious of those people.
Yes. Yeah.
Very envious.
Yeah.
I have people I coach and they don't even race. They just come to me because they want to be a better bike rider.
Oh, really?
And in my head, I'm I can't do anything unless I just want to be the best at it. And they'll people will pick up a hobby when they're, and obviously I've never been that age, so I don't know, but people will pick up a hobby when they're 50 just because it's
something to do.
And I'm I don't understand it, but then I'm so envious that they can live a life where they can just enjoy that. Like if I go play golf with my mates and I'm doing horrible, like I'm pissed.
I'm doing lessons. I'm
Really?
getting lessons to get better.
Yeah.
'Cause they're like, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. Fun golf to me is being good at it.
Yeah.
That's what's fun to me. Fun to me isn't shanking into and losing 20 balls
Yeah.
every time I play. Having fun is hitting it on the fairway and chipping it in. Like
Yeah.
that's what's fun to me.
Yeah.
And it's funny when people are like, we'll just go for a quick hit. I'm like, I'm going to get lessons.
Yeah.
I'm getting brand new clubs.
I have two mates and they go to golf and I'm like, who won? They went, oh, we didn't score. I'm like, what'd you do? I'm like, what do you mean you didn't score? Someone had to win.
Are you finding it hard to tone that down in other aspects of your life?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting better at it. Like there's sometimes now I can go and enjoy certain things and just, like enjoy being in the moment and enjoy just doing whatever said thing is.
Without being
But-
uber competitive.
Yeah, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Like there's like a running joke at my coaching because there's like a fair few riders there that are like really good and they're like around not my age, but like 20 and stuff. And they're getting good and they'll make like bets with me all the time. They'll be like, you can't beat me still. And I'm like, all right, put your money where your mouth is. And like there's one kid at coaching and we have like so many bets running. And there's one right now about he thinks he can beat me in handball. And I'm like, you're not going to. Yeah. I'm like, because I'll like die before you beat me. I was like, I'm not willing to lose to you. But it's like, we do it as like a fun joke. And there's like a real cool family at BMX and it's like a mum, a dad and two sons that ride. And they're the nicest people. Yeah. And the mum always jokes because she's like, I'm going to find a sport I can beat you at one day. And I'm like, all right. And we've done like running races and all sorts of stuff. And it's just like, because she knows that I'm competitive and in racing towards the end of my career, I got kind of known for being like very mentally strong. So I always like say to him like jokingly, I'm like, you're not going to beat me because mentally I've got you covered. Even if you're better than me, I'll beat you mentally. And then it's just this whole running joke, but it's become a lot more fun now. Yeah. Like the competitive side, but it's still competitive.
Where do you think you get that from? Is it a mum and dad thing? Is it a thing?
I don't think so because my mum is so chill.
Yeah.
Like I said on Dean's podcast, I was like, when I would race, if I got 7th, I'd come off the track and my mum would be stoked. But I think it's just years of setting goals and being so hard on myself to achieve them that it just becomes normal for you to want to be the best you possibly can. And when you do it for so many years, you don't know anything else.
Yeah, it's interesting too because if you're constantly moving the goalposts, I know winning's the ultimate goal, but do you still feel fulfilled? Like if you're constantly sort of setting that standard higher and higher and higher and moving the goalposts, do you feel that you lose fulfillment, you lose joy, or is winning sort of the icing on the cake for you when you get that win?
I don't know because like I used to always think like when people be like, "Oh, just go have fun at racing." In my head, I'm like, "Winning's what's fun." But then every time I'd win, I'd be so empty because I'd be like, "Oh, now what?" So like when I won the A Pro title in the US, like the Grands and the Rock and all that, and I went the entire season in the US where I never finished off the podium, and I only didn't win 3 of them, and I got 2nd, 3rd, 3rd. And at the end of the year, like my parents flew to America to surprise me. I won all 6 main events at like the biggest race we have and everything. And as soon as I finished the last one, I was kind of like, now what? Because I went there in 2014 and for 5 years, all I wanted to do was win that race. And it took me 5 years where it was just, that's what I wanted to win. And so 5 years of my life was dedicated to that. And then when I won it, it's like, you think that your life's going to change or you're going to be this other person or I don't know. I don't know what we think, but we think that something's going to happen. And I finished and I went and like hugged my mum and my dad and they were like crying and I hugged like my old sponsor and everyone was there. And then it was just like done. And I'm like, now what do I do?
Yeah. I felt the same thing because all I wanted to do was play rugby professionally. That's all I ever wanted. Yeah. And I got there at 20, I was 20 years old, turning 21. And I remember getting there, playing first game, seeing my name on the jersey, and I'm thinking like, how good's this? I've just done I've set a goal since I was 7 years old. Like when you finish school, they do that thing in the school book is like, favorite movie quote or where you're going to be in 10 years. Like in my school book, I wrote playing professional rugby.
Yeah.
Right? And I look back on that and go, fuck, I actually did it. But I remember being in the moment thinking, I'm meant to be feeling something else here. Like I'm meant to be feeling some sort of fulfillment, or like I've reached the point where I've trained my whole life, but I don't feel any different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I thought this was going to fix it. Like not fix it, but I thought this was maybe going to fill the void or fill that thing that I was sort of searching for, but I realized it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't the thing. Yeah.
Because I don't know where I heard this quote, but it was the quote where they say, you've already achieved goals you said would make you happy. And like, I always think back to that because I was always so like destination driven. Like all I wanted was to get this goal as quick as I possibly could and that be that. And then looking back now on like winning that, which was like such a big goal for me for so long, everything good that came from winning that race came from the 5 years before it. Every lesson, every hardship, every good thing was all in the 5 years before it. Nothing good came from that day besides a bit of money.
Yeah.
No,
I feel the exact same because that point in time where you're getting paid to play rugby, it's in the sense of like your life, it's the easiest time of my life because everything's given to you. Training's full time. Like you don't have to sort of work another job.
Yeah.
Everything's there provided for you. But the funnest times is when I was, labouring throughout the day, driving down to Brisbane, those early days, playing a game of footy or training, coming back at midnight to the sunny coast, getting up, labouring all through the day, doing it again. I did it for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Like when I was 15, 16, 17, all just to for that one goal. And I look back and I go, they were the funnest times when it was the struggle. Like the climb up the mountain was almost more enjoyable or more rewarding than getting to the mountain.
Yeah.
You're getting to the top at least.
Yeah, 100%.
But you only feel that when you actually get to the top. You know?
And the harder the climb, the better it seems when you actually do get there.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the answer is, but I'm the same. Right now, I wouldn't say I currently have any goals in life right now. I just want to enjoy every day and just see where everything takes me, because for so much of my life, I lived in the future and I was never present. Like I would be here talking to you, but all I'd be thinking about is training after. And then at training, I'd be thinking about recovering. And then I'd be thinking about tomorrow. And I never, ever feel like I enjoyed the moment. So now in my life, I'm really trying to just be where my feet are, enjoy every coaching session. So when I go to coaching and I have 5 hours in a row, I'm like, let's just enjoy this first hour. Then when the new people come, we'll enjoy that one.
Is that been a challenge for you to be present in the moment and not let your mind wander?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think even now that I've kind of started training for racing again and have the thoughts of racing is hard, because now when I'm coaching again, I'm thinking about training and thinking about trying to stay off my feet because I'm walking around all day. But I'm just trying to learn every day and figure it out, because I don't know what the answer is.
And we talked about obviously winning. Fun for you is winning, and I love that because I feel the exact same. How do you go when you don't win? How do you go when you fail in terms of you lose a race? And does that shape the version you are today?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty okay with losing.
Oh, you are?
It annoys me.
I fucking hate losing.
Yeah, well, I'm not okay with it. I deal with it well.
Okay.
I hate it.
Yeah.
But when I was struggling a lot in racing, I started seeing a psychologist. She kind of made me okay with the, I guess, the topic of failing, or just failing in racing or making mistakes. Because she was like, if you want to be good, you've got to be okay with this stuff, or else you'll put too much weight on these certain things, and your entire life will be dictated by your failures, which will increase the likelihood of having more failures. So
it's interesting how that works, doesn't it? Eh?
So it's through that, I got very good at not worrying about it too much. I could just mess something up. I'll be like, this is what I messed up, and then I'll just move on from it. So after a race that I do bad in, I'll be pissed for a little bit, but I'll just, while I'm pissed is when I'm analysing what happened, what went wrong, why that happened, and then I'll just move on and be sweet with it.
You mentioned before that we talked about sort of the love and the passion, and you mentioned that it was almost chasing external validation. Do you think that overrode your passion and love for the sport?
I think at times.
At times.
Yeah. I think I've lived a very long life of trying to please others and trying to do things that seem good enough in other people's eyes from my own perception.
Yeah.
Like no one ever told me I had to do anything or achieve anything, but it's just like what I thought other people were thinking of what I was doing. So I think even to this day, there's certain things where I'm like, do I really want to do this, or am I doing this because of someone's view of it? And it's like something I'm trying to constantly work through, because I was sitting in my car the other day waiting for something, and I was like sitting there thinking, and I was like, if there was no social media, no one knew who I was, no one could see what I was doing, I was like, what would I actually want to do right now? And I didn't have an answer.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, that's a problem.
That's the work, though.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? You get to do the work, because that's something that I really struggle with when I lost the passion for rugby, and I knew I lost it, and I wasn't doing the things that I knew I should have been doing at trainings or recovery, or all the little things that add up during a game that I used to pride myself on. Like the reason that I went as far as I did, because I wasn't the fastest or the fittest or the strongest, definitely not the strongest or the biggest or anything like that. But I used to analyze every player, every play, every game. I knew what everyone was doing. I knew where I wanted to be. So I was almost like, because I knew I wasn't the fastest or the fittest, I was almost shortcutting my way to be in certain positions because I knew what was going to happen before it happened. And I pride myself on that. And there was a time where I wasn't doing the thing that I knew that I was good at, and I was becoming lazy, and I was thinking, oh man, like, I've lost it. But there was a point in me where ego took over and was like, you're good at it, you're getting validation, people are giving you attention, whatever it may be. And I was like, I ended up playing for another 3-4 years, even though that, I was already mentally checked out.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just doing it just for the attention, pretty much, just for that validation of Elliot's the rugby player.
Yeah.
Until someone was like, I heard someone say, fuck, Elliot's probably lost it, hasn't he? I was like, shit. So now it's obvious. Now like, I know that I'm not in it, but now it's sort of becoming obvious to other people. When you're playing a team sport, when you know that someone's not in it, it's like about time to give it a rest. So I know exactly what that feels like of sort of knowing, obviously you're getting back into it now, but almost doing it for that external validation of what you think people want to see out of you. Almost your identity. Like, did you have trouble with that, linking your identity to Jayce, the bike rider?
Yeah, 100%.
Did you? Yeah.
I've heard Dean talk about it as well, like about not being not having bike riding as his identity and stuff. Whereas like I've always struggled with that. Like if I go to a family Christmas, everyone will just be like, "Oh, how was racing this year?" Like that's the only question I ever get asked. Yeah. If I see someone I haven't seen for years, they're like, "Oh, he's still racing." If like my nan rings me, she asks about racing, and like if I like look at extended family and extended friends and stuff, like I don't think any of them could ask me a question that didn't involve racing. But for so long, that's all I wanted anyway. So I didn't.
Can't blame them for it, can you? You're like, that's all you've done.
And I didn't resent it. Like I didn't care back then because that's all I wanted. So them asking me about racing, I was like I like talking about it. Whereas like now I'm like, I really want to become more than that. And I want to help people and I want to do the coaching and all this stuff. So now when people are like, "Oh, what are you doing with racing?" I'm like doing more than just racing. I was like, I'm not even racing at the moment.
But I love that though, because I felt the same thing. There were so many times in my life where mates and family was like, "How's footy going? What's the training been like?"
Yeah,
and I rejected it honestly, because like I did it so much that when I was away from it, I just wanted to talk about anything other than that. And I think what I struggled with was I felt like I had more to offer to life for other people than just playing footy. But I didn't show that. Yeah. All I showed was Elliot, the footy player, and everyone was like just chatting about footy. And I was just like, fuck me, can we have a conversation? Like, I do other things, but I'm saying that I do other things, but in reality, I don't. Like, I didn't try to do other things. I've always wanted to play the piano. Never done it because I got caught up in being the ego of like, when you first start something, you shit at it. Yeah. You're terrible at it. And I hated being terrible at something. And because I was good at footy, I latched onto my identity of playing footy, and I loved that feeling of being good at something, that I didn't want to go back and be this this is the beginner again. I hated that, because I was like, you're going to be shit at it. And I was addicted to being good at something, that it was really hard for me to be like, all right, I really want to play piano, but I know that I'm going to be absolutely terrible at it. And I'll be like, nah, fuck that. Because the feeling I get playing footy and being good at something overrode the feeling of being, of trying something new and sucking at it. And that's what got into a really bad headspace. And even like chatting to people now, obviously away from footy, like don't play footy anymore, so the conversations are different, but the conversation now turned to the podcast. And I was doing the podcast, and it reminded me of those times, like, well, what was it like playing footy? Those same sort of conversations, but now I'm more accepting, and I'm more like open to it, and more sort of less sort of criticizing or pushing it away. Now I'm like, I love talking about this, because I guess it is a broader term of this podcast is like all about life. So it opens that conversation up. So, and even when I first started, that fear of like starting something new, that you're just going to be shit at it, like that was the driving force, because my whole life was never trying new things. So I was afraid of being bad at it. That was my whole pattern of my whole life. So when I started this, I was like, I'm going to be terrible at it at the start. It's probably not going to work out, but I'd rather know, I'd rather find out than never try.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm the same. I feel like I'm the exact same with you. I know, like, when people want to go do certain things, I think because of being at like the BMX track all the time, and like usually I'll probably be the best rider there and things like that. It's like if we go do something else, I feel like just in my head, I'm like, if people are better than me, it's like, and it's happened in the past, so now I latch onto it. But if people are better than me, then it's like funny to other people that I'm not the best that's there doing whatever said thing is. And so I've been the same for ages. Whereas like the other day I went swimming with my mate who used to be a really good swimmer and just got smoked in the lap pool. And it was funny because I was just struggling and he's just gliding. But then he came to the BMX track and he's trying to jump like a jump this big. And then I'm doing like triples and stuff, and he's like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "How do you swim so fast?"
It's almost embracing those different aspects and not trying to like not trying to be the best at everything.
Yeah, and I think that comes back to that being able to enjoy things and kick the competitive bit out of it. But
it's hard to let go sometimes, and I guess like you mentioned before, that all or nothing mindset, and something that I've definitely experienced too, and something that I really struggled with was finding balance. When it's all about sort of winning and constantly taking risks, especially in your sport, how do you find that balance? Versus, I guess it would have been hard sort of earlier on in days, but sort of where you are now in life.
I think I'm pretty bad at balance.
Still?
I'm all or nothing with like everything.
Yeah.
I've said to people before, I'm like, if I had ever tried a drug in my life, I'd be a drug addict. Because I'm like, if I'm in, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's like Theo Von always says, if I get something, I get it. And I always use that line because I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like if I want to do a triathlon, like I'll be out there figuring out how to cycle good, how to run good, how to... Yeah. And it's the same with BMX. It's like once I decided BMX is what I was doing, that's all I trained for. And I used to get up at like 4 a.m. before school and I'd train. I'd go to school and I'd find websites that weren't blocked that I could watch BMX videos on the school laptop.
That weren't blocked.
And because like there was like a bike, like YouTube was blocked, but there was a bike website that had videos that you could watch and weren't blocked. So I'd like sit at the back of the class watching bike videos and then I got to like year 11, 12 where we had spare subjects and I had a meeting with the principal so that when I had a spare, I didn't have to come to school till like 11 or I could leave at 1 so I could go train.
Yeah.
And I think I've just like kind of always been like that. And like right now it's coaching and it's like my whole life is like consumed by coaching, which I enjoy. So it's a good thing, but I wouldn't say there's much balance because I lack prioritizing myself.
Yeah.
I'll always run to coaching or
someone else.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say I've figured that out. I think there was times in my life where I did, but I think I struggled to kind of half-ass.
It's a struggle for, I guess, any high achievers or people that are doing, elite sport or anything like that, is that term of finding balance. And I had a girl on the podcast who is in competitive bodybuilding. And obviously, I didn't know the ins and outs of that sport until I had a deep chat with her about it. And it's a 24-hour thing. Like the things that you have to do, your body, the training, the recovery, your food, your sleep, like everything goes into how you look up on stage for that, 5 minutes or 2 minutes, whatever it is. And I asked her, like, how do you find balance? And she said to me, people think of balance as in 50-50, like that's balance. And she said, balance to me is 70-30. That's her balance of trying to find time with her family, she's a mum of 3, trying to be a wife to a husband, trying to be a mum, trying to do this full-time sport. And she's like, look, if you think of balance as 50-50, you're never going to find it. Yeah. So my balance is juggling all those things and also doing competitive bodybuilding. And I guess when people go into it and go, oh, I want to do this, and try to find an even balance of everything, that's when you sort of start going wrong.
Yeah, and I think like what she said is true. I think finding actual balance is impossible. And I've heard someone talk about like even putting energy into a relationship. It's not about you being 50-50. It's like if I've got 80% to bring and you've only got 20, you bring the 20 and I'll bring the 80. But then in a couple of days, it'll swap around. Like I might only have 10%, so you've got to do the 90. And I think it is a constantly moving scale that you can't, like you'll never ever nail it 50-50. And I think to be successful in anything in life, you have to be unbalanced at points anyway. Because like as a kid growing up, I always trained my ass off. And then I got glandular fever. So I was like, okay, I can't do that. Like I'll run myself into the ground. And then I started prioritizing recovery. And then I was really fast when I prioritized recovery. But then when I talked to people about it, they were like, a lot of them are like, oh, should I recover more? And I'm like, well, you don't have the base because I did that for years. So I can, like, I think it takes hard work to get to a point that you can prioritize that. Yeah, it's like they say, a pyramid can only be as tall as it can be wide. Yeah. So it's like, if you haven't built a base, you can't do the intricate details to be up the top. So I think at points in life, you've got to be unbalanced if you want to go anywhere.
You seem to me as someone that's incredibly, I guess, headstrong and have a very strong mindset. What was the darkest headspace that you have ever been in yourself, and what helped you get out of it?
The darkest place I've ever been would have been 2017, I think. It was my parents were splitting up. My sisters were moving out of home. I was kind of in a rough place in my relationship at the time, which was probably 4 years into it. I had just had a huge crash. Like when it rains, it pours. And I was in a place where I woke up every day and I did not want to be here.
Really?
So and it's not that I didn't want to live. I just didn't know how to get out of that place. And so all that was going on. So we went from a house where there was my mum, my dad, both my sisters, one of my sister's partners lived there. One of my sisters had a little girl. So we were surrounded by people. And then my sister and her little girl moved out with her partner. Then my other sister and her partner moved out. Then my mum moved out. And it was just me and dad, but dad worked all the time. Isolated. So I basically was home alone. And it was without a doubt the darkest time of my life, but no one had ever seen it because I just dealt with it on my own. And I started seeing a psychologist around that time as well. So it kind of, that kind of helped me through it. But I had just come off a huge injury too, where it was a pretty big head injury, and I snapped my collarbone. So I also wasn't racing, so I was working, and I was hated this job and everything. And then I was at home one day, and I was on my bed, and my mum called me, and as soon as she called me, I knew something was wrong. And when she called me, I answered the phone, and straight away she told me that my sister's partner had killed himself. And it was one of them feelings, as soon as her name came up on my phone, I was like, this isn't a normal call.
You felt instantly there's something
instantly.
wrong.
I just knew there was something wrong. And I was with my sister earlier that day, and we were going to pick something up for my other sister, and she was like, "Oh, I haven't heard from Mitch. Should I go check on him?" Because it was his sister's birthday that day, and they were going out for lunch. And she's like, "Oh, I haven't heard from him." And we're near his parents' house. And then she was like, "Oh, nah, he'll come and get ready." And then I dropped her home. I went home. And then probably an hour later, my mum called me. And I instantly knew. And as bad as it sounds, that is how I eventually got out of that place, because I kind of, in a sense, blamed myself for the girls losing their dad, if that makes sense, because I was in such a horrible place when all this was happening. And I've never really said this, but I was like, if I went, the girls might still have a dad because he might have had the perspective of someone.
Your perspective at that point.
Yeah. Because I was like, no one relies on me. People rely on him. But then because of that, obviously he was gone. So I was like, now I've got to step up and be that person. So I think that's what pulled me out of it. I was like, I don't have any other choice but to be strong and work through this. And then, we went and kind of dealt with it. And from that point forward, I just changed my perspective on life and tried to just simplify everything. And I was like, not everything is as bad as it seems, and suicide is just a permanent fix for a temporary problem.
Did you or did any of the sisters know that he was struggling?
Yeah, we knew he was struggling for a long time because his brother passed away in a car accident. Him and his brother were best friends. So he was struggling for a long time, but I think I think it's the normal stereotype, but he was a big, strong, masculine guy, played basketball, did all this stuff, good looking guy. And I think he was struggling for so long that it almost became normal to everyone. So it kind of got to a point where it was obvious that he was struggling because he lost his brother. But I think...
Well, part of his identity was...
But I think people just got to a point where they weren't expecting anything because it was time just kept passing.
He's going through something,
and as time passes, I think people just, in a sense, start moving on. And then that happened.
How is it? How did that sort of impact the relationship with your sister? Yourself and your sister, yeah.
I think right now we're super close. At the time I was traveling a lot, but for a while she was very closed off, as you would be.
Yeah.
She I would text her and call her and stuff but she wouldn't, she didn't really talk a lot. And she had 2 young kids at the time. They were 1 and 3. So she was busy trying to do that, manage everything, deal with her own emotions and grieving. But then my mum moved in with her to help her out. And then I don't really remember the next couple years because it was everything, there was so much going on. It became a blur, but right now we're super close. And
I'm interested to sort of know how your life changed. Were you able to talk to your family about some of the things that you were going through? Or did you sort of keep it quiet because of what was happening at that time?
I definitely didn't talk straight away, but I talked to my girlfriend at the time.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
I opened up to her and then one of my best mates. But they kind of knew that I was struggling before any of that even happened. So it was kind of a roll-on conversation. I didn't abruptly spring it on them because that had happened. So I did talk to them, but I've never really talked in depth with my family that much.
Still to this day?
No. And I think that's... this sounds probably bad, but I think that's because in my eyes, I'm my sister's got the worst of it. So who am I to complain? And I was actually thinking about that this morning because I was thinking about how pain is relative to everyone. And it's if the worst pain I've felt is a 10 on a normal scale of pain and yours is a 4, our 4 and 10 are equal because it's the worst we've ever felt.
100%.
And I was trying to like I was thinking about that and breaking it down in my head this morning when I was driving to coaching, and like it makes sense, but then it's like when it comes to me doing it, I'm like, oh, still.
When it always comes to us,
Yeah.
we always like don't apply those same rules to us, but
Yeah.
we've said it to someone else the exact same. But it's always a dangerous thing because then you don't validate your own feelings because
Yeah.
someone's always got it worse. Yeah, but someone might always have it worse than you, but that doesn't mean that what you're going through isn't valid, isn't painful.
And it's crazy too, like you see, since that happened, like my sister started a clothing company that Mitch always wanted to start.
Cool.
And then like donated like part of every sale to like men's mental health and all this stuff. And it was getting sold in barbershops and all this stuff. And just from that and her story, the amount of people that like reached out and have similar stories that you just don't like know about. And then when I spoke about this on Dean's podcast the other day, like one of the clips on TikTok went like really big, and just like all the comments is like, there's so many people that were commenting and messaging me and stuff that had similar things, but then they would be like, but I don't have like a family that's supporting me. Like there's no one there for me either. And then you like look at that and you're like, in a sense you can be like, yeah, they do have it worse, but then it's like, it's the same thing. It's relative.
100%.
And I can sit here and talk about it, but I'll never ever know what my sister's going through or what my nieces deal with every day going to school. And when they have the Father's Day thing at school, like I go with my niece. Like she doesn't have dad to go. Or my dad goes, or Mitch's dad will go. But it's like all these kids will be there. And then like when I went with her one year, we were sitting at the table and then like 3 of her friends come up and was like, oh, is this your dad? And then she had to explain to them that.
So she's at an age where she understands what's happened.
Yeah, now they're 7 and 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So then like she's got to explain, like we're doing like arts and crafts on the Father's Day thing to make a card for the dads. And then she had to explain to her friends that like she doesn't have a dad anymore and I'm her uncle. And it's like seeing that stuff that like you see someone lose a dad or something and you just like yeah, it's sad, but then you don't think of it. But when you're involved in it and you see these things and you see like what these girls go through every single day, and then it's like my sister's not much of a talker, but it's like I just imagine what she goes through every day. Like she never gets a break. When the girls are sick, she's the only one there all the time.
What is that period of your life and what you know now taught you about being vulnerable?
I'm definitely a lot more open.
You are?
Yeah. I've never really talked to my family about how I dealt with all this stuff. But when it comes to stuff I'm just dealing with like now, I'm a lot more open. Like the other day when I was just at home and I was just like in my own head and I was just like, that's when I'd text mum and I was like, can I come over? I need to talk to you. And then we just sat there and like I cried on the couch with her for ages. And it was like, it wasn't even about anything deep. It was just about like how I've noticed I have these tendencies in life that I can't shake and I don't know why. And I feel like it's affecting like my career, my relationships, my future, whatever. And so I'm like a lot better at opening up about that stuff. But this stuff I've always found hard to talk about because of that exact reason, that I don't feel like it's my problem.
It is always tough, isn't it? Because I've always been very embarrassed and a little bit guilty for some of the things that I've done to myself and some of the bad places I got myself into, because I've had such an amazing upbringing, such loving parents, that I don't deserve to go put myself through these situations. That I've always been super embarrassed to be like, I've had an amazing childhood, great parents, great brothers, but I still didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
You know, and I always think like, well, someone's like, I don't want to say that because someone's just going to like say, what's wrong with your life?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, nothing is fucking wrong with my life. But at the same time, not validating how I actually feel. How did you, you talked about sort of feeling enough, feeling worthy. Was there a point where you tied your self-worth and feeling enough to winning, to performance?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And it came from when I was a kid. like when I seen the psychologist, I never knew it came from this, but when I seen the psychologist, so much of it went back to when I raced motocross as a kid, that I never felt like I'd be good enough because my dad was good on a motorbike. And like he never ever made me feel like that. That was purely self-inflicted. But so much of it came from that. And when she was like, kind of explained to me that none of that matters, and like you are enough just who you are, and results is just like, it's just like a fun thing in life essentially. Like if you win a race or don't win a race, it doesn't actually matter. Your life's not going to change. But I did. I'd probably put all my self-worth on that, because I was like, at the time I was racing full time, I was like, I don't bring value to anyone's life besides winning racing for sponsors. And I think that was also hard, because I think I'm similar to you in the fact, like I've had the best life. Growing up, we had property. I had tracks in my backyard. We had trampolines, pools, a great family, super cool sisters, like supportive grandparents that would drive around the country, and I'd meet them there to race and they'd watch me. Like I had everything. So like feeling like I wasn't enough and feeling like life wasn't good made me more guilty, if that makes sense.
100% makes sense. And it's getting to the root cause of that. It's something that I've sort of, a lot of hard work I've put into that feeling of not feeling enough, or chasing that, you know, almost people pleasing. Like what was that thing? What was I trying to chase that whole time of when I was telling you that I felt empty when I made it there? I was like, what was I searching for? And I think it was going back to that external validation of people liking me, or want to be liked by people, and pleasing people constantly all the time. And like the root cause of it I found was that I was always pretending to be something that I wasn't, just to get attention. So I was always chasing that external validation. So if I found out a group of girls were talking to some guys and they liked a certain band, I would pretend like I liked that music. You know, just to be like, oh, well, Elliot likes that music too, just to fit in, right? Yeah. And you do that long enough, you get to 20, 30 years old, and you don't know who you are, because you've wore so many masks and you put so many different appearances on, that you just like, it's almost peeling off layers of like onion layers. It's just like, who are you to your core? And I was like, I got to a point where I was like, I actually have no idea who I am, because I've ignored everything about myself that I've loved. I've never leaned into who I am. I've never found out what I actually do enjoy, and be less, care less about what other people think about what I like. Yeah. You know, that's been such a trap for me for so long.
Yeah, I think exactly what you said is what we were talking about before. Like, I feel like I'm kind of even there right now. Like when it comes to like even social media, and like I do a fair bit of YouTube, and so many kids like kind of connect with that stuff because it's a lot more real and that. But then I'll make a YouTube video and tie the engagement to who I am. And I'll be like, I liked making this video, but it got no views. I hated making this one, but it got views. I'm like, I clearly need to do more of that. Yeah. But you do end up, you just end up, I feel like I end up in a spiral anyway, where I'm like, I don't know who I am or what I want to do, because I'm constantly inundated with people's opinions of who I should be or what I should be doing. And I think that makes you feel empty.
Oh, 100%. And I've learned so much from Rick Rubin, the music producer, and because I went through a phase of, when I first started this, it was like, how do I get this out there? How do I get views? How do I get people to listen? And I got to a point where I was wanting to get people on that I not necessarily wanted to have a conversation with, but I knew other people may wanted to hear it. Yeah. And I fell down that trap because it didn't feel genuine to me. It didn't feel authentic. And I was sort of having chats with people that I was just doing it thinking that's what the audience wanted. Yeah. And sometimes the audience, it would sort of go viral, and other times it didn't. And I fell into that trap of thinking, I know what people want. Predicting what people want. Predicting what people want to see. And we can never predict what people want to see or people want to hear. And he talks about it that, you know, he wrote in his book, and it was obviously when he makes music, his rule is that the audience comes last. And that's a bit weird when you're making music for the people. And he talks about, you're not making music for the people, you're making music for yourself. The audience comes last, that you shouldn't go in there thinking, oh, I'm going to write a song for the people. This is what
Yeah.
people want to hear, because it never plays out the way that you think it's going to play out. And he goes, the best thing you could possibly do is do the best thing for yourself, and the best thing for yourself is going to be the best thing for the audience. It's going to be the most genuine, authentic work that you can possibly do.
Because they can sense that.
Oh, massively. And I've listened back to past episodes where it was more doing it for the audience rather than a genuine connection that I have with the guest.
Yeah.
And I can tell straight away. And I'm like, oh man, and the ones that I've recently and probably the last 12 months have been the most popular ones, have been the ones that I've thoroughly enjoyed having conversations with, and not even giving too much about if the audience is gonna like it, which is weird to say, because I do want the audience engagement. And I am doing this to provide value for the audience, but at the same time, these conversations have got to be genuine to us, me and you.
Yeah, and I think it hits too, because you'll be surprised how many people out in the world are like-minded to you and me. And whoever. So it's like when it's genuine and they can sense that it's genuine, the people that are like-minded to you and how you think will enjoy it way more than just a broad audience of people that are kind of listening. And
half there, because I had Andy Cooks, he's a sort of social media chef, very popular. He's sort of come on the podcast and we're chatting about sort of audience engagement and stuff like that. And he was like, Elliot, you don't need to be liked by everyone.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want everyone to like your stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? Of course you want everyone to like your stuff. He's like, no. All you need is 20 people. All you need is 20% of people to really love your stuff. And then the 80% can do what they want. Yep. Think how big the world is. If only 20% love it, mate, it's all good. You're sweet. You'd rather want 20% that really love it and 80% that don't like it than 100% sort of half-assing about it, don't really know what they want about it. They sort of listen, but sort of not listen, don't really care about it. You don't want that. You want 20% of people that fucking love it, and they're the people that you're sort of going after.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like that's what good businesses are run off to.
Yeah.
Like, I think community is everything. And when people love something, the community's way tighter than people that kind of like something.
Yeah, massively.
But I can relate to what you said a lot then, because when I went on Dean's podcast too, like I'd heard a lot of his stuff and we were like chatting on Instagram and stuff, and then I had the opportunity to go on. And for like a week leading up to it, I was so stressed because I was like, people that went before me are like big names and stuff. And I'm like, oh, like what am I even going to give to the audience?
That imposter syndrome a little bit, eh?
100%.
Yeah.
Big imposter syndrome. And like some of the names he'd had on are like people I've like looked up to and stuff. And then and then he dropped one of the clips from our podcast, and I think it's like his biggest TikTok clip, biggest Instagram clip, and it's got like over platforms, I think it's at like nearly like 2 million views, and it's like so crazy because going in, I'm like, as bad as it sounds, I'm like, I just don't want to be like the worst performing.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at the names and I'm like, I'm going to be the worst performing one. But we went in and we had a genuine conversation. Like we went in and we talked about bikes for ages, and then it pivoted to like stuff about my sister, and we just chatted like two
regular
bike riders chat. Yeah.
And that's the thing that I've realized is that it actually does not matter what content you're making. It doesn't matter what your profession is. It doesn't actually matter what you're putting out to the world. All that matters is who you are as a person. Yeah. You know, especially when you're creating content, like you went in there going like, who am I type thing. But that genuine conversation you had was the most performing because it was authentic. Yeah. You know, it wasn't because if you're well known or if you're popular or what you did for a living. It was because you had an authentic conversation. That's what really matters.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was literally like just two guys just chatting to each other, and it was so good.
So relatable.
But I think being like that is a big thing in today's like day and age, because even you probably don't know this, but like I have a brand in BMX as well where I was selling like clothes and stuff. And it went like pretty big because I just created a nice community around BMX and everyone would just ride together for fun and stuff. And when I was like trying to design shirts and stuff, like I suck at that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how to design a shirt. So I went on on PicMonkey. So it's like just some random website, clicked a font, and the brand's like CW and then like bike, whatever. And I just put a CW in a square and put on a shirt and sold hundreds of them.
Did you?
And then I went to sell another shirt because people were like, oh, we want another one. And I was like, oh God, now I got to make another one. So I did it with a circle. And then I learned that like females like curvature in logos and men like sharp logos.
Sharp, yeah.
And then I was like learning all this stuff as I was going. And then I was putting so much stress in like what the designs are like. And then someone came to me and they were like, why are you worried about it? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, it's got to be a good shirt. Everything I've done, I've just whipped up. I was like, I need to find a designer. And they're like, the community you've built, if you just put out anything, people will buy it. And they're like, it doesn't need to be good or fancy. They will buy it because they want to be a part of the community you've built. Yeah, so I just was putting up simple ones and they just kept selling. And I was like, this is crazy. But even then, it took all that for me to even learn about community and authenticity and genuine.
They're not buying it because of the product. They're buying it because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, just like, and even that, it wasn't even essentially because of me. I just started riding at the track during COVID to get people out on their bikes. And then I would just put on Instagram, people would come. And then it just grew like that. So then when I started selling shirts, I got like 6 for the main guys I'd ride with. So then all the kids wanted them because they wanted to be a part of us. And then it just grew from there.
That's sick.
And then, yeah, it ended up consuming me for a while because I got addicted to it.
All in or nothing again.
Yeah. So then I did that for ages. But yeah, it was like, it taught me so much about just like being authentic and building community and being genuine can take you so far.
100%. Do you, I don't want to assume anything here, but did you ever feel pressure or a fear when you're out there racing, a pressure to perform or succeed? And how did you deal with it?
Yeah, I did feel pressure, but I think it came from me.
Internal pressure?
Yeah. Like, I never had pressure from my parents to have to do anything except my best. They never said I had to get a result. I was lucky with sponsors. I never got sponsors that cared about results. They cared about like who I was off the track, how I treated the kids and the fans, and
I love that.
How I basically did social media, which I love doing anyway. But I think growing up, I went to school with, when I got to the higher grades, I had one other kid at school that was a BMX rider, and he was really good. And he would beat me most weekends when we were a kid. And then he'd come back to school and people would be like, oh, how was racing? And he'd tell them that he beat me. So from then on, my whole life became, if I don't win or if I don't do good, I'm not good enough as a person, or people will judge me, or people will laugh at me. Because my whole life, basically, I was the only bike rider at school. And then he moved to our school, and then this started happening, and he was beating me at the time. So then I put my pressure on myself that, if I didn't win or if I didn't do this, I wouldn't be good enough. And I knew I had to face these people on Monday at school. Yeah. And then I think that's when I like started resenting school. Yeah. And then racing started, like, at that time I was doing horrible because all I cared about was people's opinions. I didn't actually think about racing.
What I need to be doing to actually win.
Yeah. And then, so then dealing with that. So then for years I sucked under pressure. Like, I went to multiple national titles in a row where I won every lap except the final. And I got 4th 5 years in a row. I never got on the podium. And then it would always be behind people I'd beat every weekend. But when it came to nationals, it's like I had a self-sabotage subconsciously that I would never do it when it mattered. And then one day I got to like my breaking point and I was like, I need to either quit racing or I need to go more all in and spend money, get a psychologist. And a MotoGP rider I know put me onto a psychologist, and I started seeing her. And she basically just went back to my childhood and unlocked everything around motocross, about being good enough for my dad and this school stuff. And we talked about basically all this emotions and stuff, but we never talked about racing.
Really?
And then after 2 visits with her, I like podium for 2 years straight. And I had like 21 races in a row where I got a podium. And then the year after that, I went to America, and that's when I podiumed I won every race except the 3.
So what did she unlock? What was the breakthrough? Was it just to heal that inner child of you, that all the expectations you put on yourself? Was that what it was? Yeah.
And it was a lot of it was around not letting people's opinions dictate how you live your life, which I'm almost back to a point where I'm still trying to work through that. So I think it's a constant battle.
Well, especially when we work in social media, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a tough thing.
Yeah, 100%. And like you're always almost valuing yourself off of clicks and views and stuff, like I was just saying about the Dean podcast. And I was talking to my mum about something the other day, and I was like, oh, this has like this many views. And she's like, who cares? And I was like, true. I was like, who does care? I was like, you're still here, Dad's still here, my sisters are still here.
The love's still here, yeah.
Like, if they deleted all social media tomorrow, I still have you guys, so who does care?
It's so interesting because my next question for you is sort of how do you reset from all the noise on social media like that, and something that I've sort of gone through because I didn't have social media before the podcast, and obviously getting back into it again and trying to sort of get the audience and spread the word as much as I can. I would always live for the highs and die for the booze that will come in my way. So if someone would message in and say that was shit podcast, that was shit episode, I'd be like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe it was shit. And then someone else would say that to that exact same podcast, oh no, that was the best podcast. I went, oh, I'm back again.
Yeah, and it's roller coaster.
There's a roller coaster. And as much as you want to hear the good stuff and as much as you don't want to hear the bad stuff, I had to be neutral everywhere. So I had to stop listening to all the good stuff too. Take it on board, whatever it is, but I can't sort of go, oh, this podcast is great because someone else says so. Well, this podcast is great because someone said it was, some sort of shit. You know what I mean? I couldn't live for both sides. And that was a tricky thing for me to navigate. And I'm obviously still working through it now. But how do you go through the social media aspect and, I don't know, getting it? Do you get burnt out from it? Do you need a reset?
Well, yeah, I agree with you on like the being flat across the board. I've almost always lived a life where I like just ride the roller coaster until I learned that like the higher the high, the lower the lows. So like, I know it's not on social media, but when it came to racing at like the end of my racing time, I like wouldn't even set goals to win races. I'd be like, this weekend I want to meet 5 new people.
Oh, I love that.
And like stuff like that. So like the year I won the Grand in 2019, my goal, which is in my book, says I want to meet 5 new people. And like, or I think it was 5 new people per day, and it was a 3-day event. So
how do you go around? You just chat to strangers?
I would just like, if I walk past someone, we made eye contact, I'd be like, hey, how you doing? And like, so then it even took my mind off racing because I'm like, I'm at a race, the work's done. I can't get faster today. The only thing I can do today is enjoy it. And
did that help the racing?
I think so. Like I never stressed that weekend. I had a bad race, came off the track, and my mum was like, oh, that wasn't like what are you going to do kind of thing, like stressing about my gate pick for the next one. I was like, oh, it's all right, I'll cleaned up.
I love that.
And I never worried. But so then I'm like, that got rid of like the high highs and the low lows, I think, like not setting strict goals on that, because it's like when you go to a race, everyone wants to win.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, if you set a goal to win, it's like what sets you apart from the other people, because everyone wants to win.
Exactly.
But when it comes to social media, it's never really affected me. I've never really had too bad of an experience on social media.
Good.
Like when I was 16, I dropped a video with my mate in New Zealand. He was like an editor, and we just made this video in New Zealand of me riding, and it like blew up on YouTube, and I was like young, and people were like responding so well, and like that was like my first kind of social media
interaction
thing. Yeah. And then like Dean's post the other day, I think there was like one bad comment I seen, and it was just like some young kid, and it just said like, can you turn the music up? I don't want to hear what he's saying. And that was like it. And then every other comment was positive. And then I had one, but it was me being an idiot, so it never worried me.
Yeah.
But I put up, my mate dared me to hold a sign at the front of Macca's that said bring back plastic straws years ago, and it blew up. And it was in like UK newspapers and news, and that I got like death threats for. And my mum's like, can you just take it down? I'm like, Mum, who cares?
I love plastic straws.
Yeah. I'm like, it was a joke. Because everyone's like, I can't believe, people like commenting, I can't believe you'd stand out the front of Macca's with that. I'm like, I was there for like, I was so embarrassed. I stood there for probably like 2 seconds. He snapped this photo and I dropped the sign and ran away. I was like, I did not stand there. And then people were giving me death threats and all this stuff. But it was just a joke. And that's the only negative stuff I've dealt with on social media.
Yeah.
So I've never really had it where it's like attacked me, because that was just like all environmental people worried about turtles.
Yeah. I'll edit that out about my straws then.
Yeah, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, we'll edit that out.
Targeted at me.
What about, not so much sort of the audience, but what about your own dealings with social media and not getting too consumed by it? Did you have to do you set boundaries in terms of like when to stay off the phone, when to sort of give yourself a break from it? Are you single?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all. Jordan's always like, it finishes at 6 p.m. I was like, righto.
See, when I was in a relationship, I was off it a lot more.
Yeah.
But
you've never had like a toxic relationship with it at all?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Oh, have you?
Yeah. Because I was addicted to views and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm a lot better now. Now I like, even on YouTube, like I used to post and I'd like update YouTube Studio and like see if the subs were going, see what the views were doing, see where I was ranking. And now I've like hidden YouTube Studio off my phone and turned off like cellular, so I can't check it unless I'm at home doing something to do with YouTube.
Yeah, nice.
And it's almost more rewarding because I'll like check it every couple of days and everything has grown.
Yeah.
But I've been better lately. Like I went out on on my sponsor's boat the other day, and I was just like text my mum and stuff, and I was like, if you need me, call one of the boys. I'm just turning my phone off, because this was after I had that conversation with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, everything I do is like almost for a reason. I was like, I don't want to do that. So I turned it off, put it under the seat of the boat, and had the sickest day.
Yes.
Whereas it's like, it's almost like I usually will like even post the boat because it's like, I don't know, people will respond to it.
Yeah. It's like content. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am getting better at it now, and I used to be pretty good at it, but I definitely go through peaks and valleys.
Yeah. I'm sort of the opposite, where I need to start capturing more content.
Yeah.
Because I'll go through periods of my life and I'm like, oh, this would actually be really good to show for the podcast. And I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know? And I've almost got to turn my mindset a little bit to because it's such a sort of still a new thing for me. I've still got to like turn my brain on when it comes to capturing moments and creating content. And because I always, like, we went to Japan and I'm like, that would have been a good time to vlog the Japan trip. And I'm like, didn't even use my phone, didn't use anything. So I'm in that point where I've like, I just wanted to get sort of your views on it, because you obviously been doing it for a while now. I wanted to see. So I've got to bring my sort of game up, but I don't want to be cross that line.
It becomes normal. That's the problem, because I have made YouTube videos for 5 years now. So it's like something will happen, I'll just be like,
with
and
me,
not
I'm
even
like
think about it. And it's like we'll get back from a trip somewhere and people will be like, oh, can you send me footage, because they know I've got it. And it's like sometimes I won't even use it, but I've always got it.
Just in case.
I've started using have you ever heard of Huji?
Yes.
So I use Huji now, so that if I want to take a photo of something, I take it, but I don't look at it. I won't take the photo twice.
Yeah.
I'll just take it with like the tiny little screen at the top. And then at the end of the day, I'll have a look through and I'll forget it, like photos I've even taken. But I like only take photos on that now to try and get myself off that. Yeah. And then, but it becomes natural. As soon as something exciting is happening, I like grab a phone or a camera or a GoPro. But I think I don't mind it when I'm just capturing video. It's staying off of social media that I need to try and do. Yeah,
that's the thing. And, you mentioned a little while ago that you went and saw a sports psychologist.
Yeah.
Just to help with your mindset. I'm interested to know sort of what some of the things that are going on in your life now. Are you seeing a psychologist? Is it something that you're sort of working on?
Not currently.
Yeah.
After I had that conversation with my mum the other day, she told me to reach back out to her, but I can't get a hold of the lady I used, and she was so good that I'm like skeptical to go to anyone else.
It's
and
hard when you find it. When you're attached to someone that you've really connected with, it's hard to go somewhere else.
Because I feel like even now in my life, there's a lot of things where I like self-sabotage without knowing, like when it comes to relationships and girls and things like that. And that's what I was like talking to my mum about, because I don't really know how to explain it. You might have been through this with rugby. Like when there's girls around and stuff, it's like I was seeing this girl for a bit and she would be the best girlfriend ever. Like gorgeous, fun, supportive, everything. And like I can do no wrong in her eyes, but then it's like for whatever reason, I don't want to commit or I can't commit. But then it's like a girl that's at arm's length is like, I don't know if it's like a fun chase or if it's again trying to prove validation to myself that I can get
That's exactly what it is.
said thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
like when someone says you can't beat him and you go, yeah, I fucking can beat him.
Yeah.
The girl that's at arm length that you're sort of chasing, that's like the goal.
Yeah.
You know? And
But
all
then
you
the
want to do
one
is
you can have is...
the one that you can have that's great for you. You're just like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I've hung out with girls and like I've been single for a while now because it's like I was like focusing on business and stuff for a while and I was just like, I don't want anything. But then it's like I've seen girls and I'll meet someone and I'll be like, so many red flags instantly. But then it's like almost the chase to crack them is like the validation. And this is what I was saying to mum. And then she's like, you need to see a psychologist. I was
yeah. But it's also like
because it comes from racing. I was like, I don't know how to change that mindset because I've always lived in a life of chasing the next
high. Almost the next high, but also like it always comes back to your personality of analyzing things too. Like you're so good at analyzing things on the track that it obviously comes back to your personal life too. And like it's interesting because I was the same mindset. I had a partner for 4 years and nothing was wrong with her, but I broke up with her and I didn't tell her why, and I couldn't tell her why
because you didn't have a reason.
I didn't have a reason, right? And that was the hardest thing to do. But I knew it was the right thing to do. I thought it was going to fix something, but it obviously didn't fix something. But I knew in my life that was the right thing to do, and it was nothing to do with her. And it was so hard to tell her that, and it was so hard to tell her to give her not a reason at all. But the reason, because it wasn't like I wasn't whole with myself.
Yeah.
Right. And I was always like putting pressure on this girl to fix something in me that I couldn't fix myself.
Yeah.
And I think I got to a point where I was just like, I need to let it go because, you know, I think I'm clinging on to this thing of validation of her, maybe the hope of her fixing something in me. And I knew that it wasn't going to be her to fix. And I think that was like the hardest thing I had to do was sort of let her go and give it over. And she's obviously, she's moved on. She's got a partner. She's got a family and stuff like that. So it's all worked out how it's meant to work out. But I know exactly that feeling. And obviously it's that feeling of looking a little bit inner and doing that inner work. That's
because I've been looking at it lately. Because even mum, she's like, "Why won't you be with this girl?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, "But I can't explain it to you, and I can't be with her because that's not genuine. Because it's like I'm not itching to want it or whatever." And I'm like, "That's not fair."
Yeah. It's not. But there'll become a time where there is the right one.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because I did the same thing where you sort of analyze and you're like, "Oh, there's red flags there," and then you don't realize I've got red flags too.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not sitting here like saying that I've got, you know, I'm the finished product or the perfect person or anything like that. So,
but I think that's the thing as well is like you got to be obviously willing to be with someone that you are willing to work on because life is just work.
Yeah,
and it's like
100%.
Saying to my mum the other day, I was like, I think my problem is in some situations in life, it's like I think the grass is greener. And I don't take on the aspect that it's like, it's greener where you water it. And I'm like, I need to focus on like what I want to focus on and actually, water that grass instead of just finding something new.
Put that focus and effort and energy into that.
Yeah.
Because it does, like, it. You know, life throws so many curveballs at you that, you know, you want to be sort of at a position where what I found and what I love with the relationship I have with Jordan is that, first and foremost, we're obviously really good mates.
Yeah.
Like we get along, we have fun with each other. And I see a lot of the time sort of relationships wise, they don't like spending time with each other. You know, they're mates. It's just like they come home and they do the same old thing. And it's like on that sort of repetitive thing. Whereas like one thing that I love about, we were mates before we were sort of together. Yeah. And that's what I love about that we're happily just sit at home all day with each other. Yeah. Either talk or sit in silence and not talk. And that's the thing that I sort of really connected to and value is that, you know, I went through some serious issues with my mental health when she was still sort of in the picture right at the beginning. Right. So she's seen me at my lowest and was still like, yeah, I'm going to be here. Yeah. You've just got to you've got to sort this. You can't put this on me. This isn't my problem to fix.
That's cool.
You know, you've got to do it. I remember I went through a period of sort of having mental episodes where I would sort of flip out and for 3 or 4 days I'd be, crazy off my head, angry, right? And this happened like probably 4 or 5 times at that point in time. This was about 4 years ago now. So we were probably together for about 3 years up until this point. And she sat me down. The last time it ever happened, she sat me. I came back home. She sat me down and she said to me, "Look, I love you, but if you want to have a family together, if we want to have children, I'm not accepting that standard for myself, especially for my kids, that you're just going to flip out and get angry for 3 or 4 days, and like I'm not accepting that.
Yeah,
like I can handle that, me, but I'm not putting our kids through that.
Yeah. So
you either put the effort in now, find the answers, get better, become a better version of yourself, or this is it.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy
That's
fuck.
what you need, though.
That's what I needed.
That's so good.
That's what I needed, big time. And like from that point on, it's never happened again. And from that point on, I went to concussion clinics down in Sydney. I went to neurologists and experts in the field of mental health. I've gone to see a psychiatrist and trying to find answers and try to figure out why I am the way that I am. Because I know that I'm different. I know that my mind works differently. I know I react to certain situations, and I know I've always known that I've been different in how I see the world and how I think, and why do things upset me more than other things. And before, I would just let them consume me. I wouldn't put any effort into calming myself down or thinking positively. I'll just let the anger and the frustration consume me, and before you know it, there's 3 days of it, and then I'll get angry. I would get angry that I'm getting angry. So then it's just like goes around and this spirals out of control again. So I think her saying that to me was like, all right, I need to go find the answers, because I've always been too afraid to see a psychiatrist to really dig deep into understanding why I am the way that I am. I was too afraid to look for it, and
it's confronting.
It's super confronting, but it's honestly the best thing that I ever could have possibly done, because it's opened my eyes up massively, and it's made me more in touch with myself, which has helped me be more in touch with other people in my life. And like they've put me on a spectrum of bipolar. So I asked my mum and dad and my friends this, and they're like, "Yeah, you've always been moody." I'm like, "What do you mean I've always been moody?
What didn't you tell me?
What do you tell me?" They're like, "Oh, that's just you. We can tell you the start of the day if you're in a good mood or a bad mood." I went,
right.
"What? I've just figured this stuff out now." And they're like, no, you've always been moody, probably since the age of 15. Sort of when you hit puberty, we can tell like you're super moody.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh fuck. So have you guys always just put up with it? Yeah, we've always just put up with it.
Yeah.
So going further, sort of deeper into it, there's always I had a terrible amount of concussions playing rugby, and that sort of was one of the reasons why I stopped playing. But I've also got a family history of mental illness, so that's obviously a contributing factor. And so when I went and saw a psychiatrist, and he was so calm and professional, and was like, this is what's happening in your life.
Yeah.
Your highs aren't as high as you think they are. And I was like, oh, right. Because I thought I was super high, super low.
Right.
And he's just like, your highs are normal. Your highs are regular. I was like, oh, right. What am I here for then? And he's like, just your lows. Your lows, when you get low, it's lower than everyone else's. So it takes you a while to sort of get back up to that sort of neutral ground again. And so what I used to do was just let it consume me. So I was just like, if I'm in a low, worst person to be around.
Yeah.
So now it's just giving me like tools and ways to like, when I'm in a low, I just acknowledge that I'm in a low.
Yeah.
And find ways to get myself out of it. So it's not so much stopping them, because I always find myself still in lows, but it's just my coping mechanism. So like exercise for me is a huge one. Like that, if 9 times out of 10, if I go to the gym, I leave the gym, I'm in a much better mood.
Yeah.
I do a lot of like saunas and cold plunges and those sorts of habits. Like changed my diet was a massive one, and also finding a passion or something driven towards. Like when I started the podcast, it's no coincidence that I changed my, like obviously diet's gotten a lot better, really in touch with my gut, doing something that I love, purpose, more discipline with my exercise, my recovery, and then having more connected love like with my friends and family.
Yeah.
There's no coincidence that I've never had an episode again. It's 4 years ago. I've never gone to that dark place where I've been angry for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the lows aren't still there, but I mean, there's so many contributing factors that go towards me sort of having that healthy outlook on life.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I'm like, I've kind of don't have the lows as much. I'm like kind of just always happy and just smiling. And things annoy me and then I'm smiling again, which has its benefits sometimes. But the problem is everyone expects you to always be like that because I am a lot of the time.
So when you're not like that, are people
it's
like...
It's a big shock.
A big shock to people.
But usually I don't get like angry. I just get quiet. Like if I'm quiet is when something's wrong, and then I'm either super loud and hyperactive. But I find the same if I have a lot more quiet time, which is like my anger. If I don't have purpose.
Okay.
I link it more to purpose because I have noticed over the years that I don't get the same fulfillment from passion as I do from purpose. So I'm always like...
What's the difference for you?
Well, in my eyes, like purpose is helping people. Like I get so much joy out of that. And giving to people and just like being there. It's like even like if my sister wants to move house, as annoying as it is, I love doing it because I can be that person to help her get over that obstacle or whatever. And then my other sister's a midwife and like deals with some crazy stuff at work. So then like the other day I just like went and dropped off flowers and chocolates and stuff to her and she was like so grateful. But it's like, even doing that, as selfish as it sounds, just lifts my day. So it's like, it's such a small thing, but if I can do it, like I love it. And I find purpose in trying to help others be happy and enjoy life more. And then like passion for me, in my eyes, is just something that I enjoy doing. So like riding, surfing, wake surfing, all that stuff is passion. And as much as I enjoy doing those things, it doesn't give me the same feeling afterwards.
That fulfillment of like helping someone out.
Yeah,
I love that.
So I have like a story. I've never ever told someone this story. I have it written in my notes. And it's from like 2018, I think. And we're in Terrigal, like New South Wales. And we were building a track there. And we went out for like, we finished the track and we went to like an after party. And we're in a nightclub and there was like, when I drink, I'm just hypo. Like I have raspberry vodka. The red obviously hits me. And like I've never taken a drug in my life and people always be like, are you on drugs? Just because I'm like hyperactive. And I was like there and we were like dancing in a group of people and there was like two guys that had obviously dragged their buddy to this club and he was like awkward and so did not want to be there. And I just like grabbed his hand at one stage and just started dancing with him. And I never thought anything of it. And then he just like livened up and started dancing and stuff. And then I went to pee later and I was like about to leave and I walked back out and this guy like grabbed me and I was like, what? And I turned around and he's like, thank you. And I was like, what for? And he's like, that's the first time in my life I've ever felt included in something. And he's like, you made me feel like I could be a part of like what you guys were and you made me feel included. And I was like drunk at the time. So I never thought anything of it. And I like was just like, oh, all good. Have a good night. And I walked outside and I like wrote in my notes. And then on my phone, because I was like, I want to remember that because it was like such a weird feeling, but I wasn't in a state to feel it properly. And then like when I analysed that for days after, I was like, that was like the coolest feeling, having someone say that. And I think that's where like so much of my community-based stuff has come from of like trying to get people together. And like in coaching, it's like when I used to coach, everyone would just be silent. And I've got them all to a point now where they all just like banter with each other. And I go to coaching and it's not like 12 people looking at me. Everyone just interacts and relies on each other and has fun.
I love that.
And yeah, and I think a lot of it came from there. Because like when he said that to me, like I can still remember like the look in his eyes and stuff. And he was like so genuine and he was like, he looked like he was nearly crying. And just the way he said like he's never felt included. And I was like, I'll never forget this night.
Well, that's where the magic is, isn't it? Like when you feel that open to include people in certain situations like that.
Yeah.
You know, and make people feel like that. That's where the magic is, isn't it?
Yeah. And like I could just tell he was so awkward.
Yeah.
And he was like standing holding a drink with his head down. And then I was just like, I was like grabbed his hand and I was like, get amongst it, mate. And then you could just see his whole demeanor change.
Yeah.
And then I look at that and I'm like, I look at people like that and I'm like, you never know what they've gone through. Like,
Yeah.
were they bullied at school? Did they have no friends? Did they not fit in sport?
So many things.
Yeah,
You
and
just,
I'm like,
you just give him the best night of his life
Yeah,
without
for
even
him-
knowing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like the fact that because like if he never came and said anything to me, I would have never thought anything of it. And then, but it's like the way he spoke to me, I literally, in that moment, I was like, I just changed this guy's life from doing something that took nothing away from me.
Exactly.
And yeah, and I just like that's the stuff I find personally I love.
Thank you for sharing that. We've got a couple of questions left. If you could relive one day from your journey so far, good or bad, which one would you choose and why?
My sister's wedding.
Your sister's wedding.
Yeah.
Beautiful day.
Yeah, the best day.
The best day.
I don't think I ever stopped smiling.
Yeah.
I like watch some of the video back and I'm just smiling the whole time. But she married like one of my good mates that I grew up racing.
How good.
And I was his best man
Yeah.
and he was marrying her. And I don't say this to people often either, but I love love. Like I love it.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, I would love romantic movies.
Yeah.
Like
Still?
I don't really watch movies anymore. I can't sit still. But I was like the type of kid, I was like, I'm going to have one girlfriend for my whole life. That's it. Like I was that type of person. And watching genuine love, which like I experienced with one of my like long-term girlfriends, and I was like, obviously that ended, but I was like seeing that happen in real life with someone that like two people that mean the world to me and two people that helped me through so much. It was just like, I don't even know how to explain the feeling, but I would live that day over 1,000 times.
Amazing.
And it was like, everything was perfect. The weather was perfect. Yeah. It was incredible.
When was the last time you cried and what brought it out of you?
Like last week with my mum.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And I think, well, I guess it was to do with love, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was more, I think it was more the feeling of being lost in certain aspects that brought it out of me, because I think when you feel lost, you feel hopeless and you can't see a way out of those certain situations.
Yeah.
So I think the hopelessness of what we were talking about that day on her couch is what brought the tears out. But yeah, I'm kind of a crier too.
Hey, a bit of a crier.
There's a lot coming out in this podcast.
Well, that's good.
Some days I'm just like, I need to cry.
Well, that's great, because like I went for years without being in touch with my emotions. There was a blockage there that I couldn't cry, and now it's like you do the sort of the work and you sort of break down all those little walls that were up. Yeah. Now you're more in touch with those emotions, more accessible. So you're not sort of suppressing them at all, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is good, because I think I went through a couple of years where I stopped that. Like
Stopped
the last
feeling.
few years, I think I was very closed off to everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why that was, but recently I've definitely
opened
back up. Or I think I've been more conscious and aware of things that I don't like that are happening in my life. So therefore I've become more aware.
What scares you that no one would expect?
Love.
Well, we know now.
Well, I don't know about love like in general as in a normal relationship, but I think what scares me is relying on people. I think if I like and care about someone, like whether it's a friend or anyone, I'll be there no matter what. And there's very few people in my life that I've felt that in return from. One of the guys, like my mate Nato, he is definitely that and has been, but I only met him during COVID when I came back from America. But I think opening up to someone or letting someone completely in.
What's one thing you're proud of that has nothing to do with riding?
Can it be people?
It can be anything.
My nieces.
Your nieces?
Yeah.
Oh, are you?
They're all just legends. And
Oh, I love that.
the two eldest ones, I think they all dance now.
Yeah.
But the two younger ones are young.
Yeah.
The two eldest ones are killing it in dancing.
Are they?
And so the second eldest one, Amity, she just wins everything.
Is she good, is she?
Yeah. She did a tournament on the weekend, and I've seen a photo and she just had all these trophies around her. I'm like, how many dances did you do?
Does it make you want to be a father?
Yeah, I definitely want to be a father.
You definitely want to be a father, yeah.
And coming from my family, I'm the last one left with our name, but I will be.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because, I'm the only guy.
Yeah.
I don't think Dad's having
The
another
pressure's
kid.
on you.
But I do want to be a father. I love, like, hanging out with them. I just think I'm very aware, probably too much aware of what I want to give my kids. And I never want to rush into it. I think because I also look back at the childhood I had, and I would want to give my kids something similar to that, because I think it was amazing.
Awesome, yeah.
And my parents gave us the world, and we had opportunities to do everything we wanted and try everything we wanted. And I want to be able to give that to my kids, but I definitely want to be a dad.
What's your version of peace, and what brings your mind the most stillness?
Oh, I don't know when I last felt peace. Probably when I'm out wake surfing with my buddies.
Oh, yeah.
Just sitting on that wave. Like, surfing is one thing, but wake surfing when the wave never ends is just like, sometimes I'll just stand there and I'll forget there's even a boat in front of me with all my buddies on and music blare, and I'll just be
in your own world.
Yeah, just riding this wave and just start thinking about stuff. And like when we're at Somerset Dam, and there's just a huge dam with like green mountains and blue sky, and I just like look out and I'm just like, whoa. And I noticed that a lot the other day when I turned my phone off, and I was very present with what we were doing and enjoying the moment. But riding gives me peace, but I don't think anything like that. Or snowboarding. I was just in Japan. It was insane.
It was good, was it? A couple of mates just come back from Japan.
Yeah.
They said it was good. Do you think confidence is something you can build, or is it something you have to believe before you see it?
Oh, that is good. You're good at this. You should do it. You should do it as a job.
I'm trying.
I think both. I think you can definitely build it, because I think I definitely built it. Well, I built it when it came to racing and stuff, and I built it probably in talking in front of people and stuff like that. But then I think
there is an element there.
There's an element where you do have to believe yourself. Like, I think it's the same with like the imposter syndrome we talked about. If you have that, it's hard to be confident because you don't believe yourself. And I think is it Chris Griffin talks about like have to be and be do have.
Yeah.
And like you have to be the person that you want to become, do the things that person would do, and then you'll have the things that you want. And I think confidence works into that equation perfectly, because I think for you to be confident in certain things and to get certain things, you have to be the person that believes that they are capable of
exactly
that.
Yeah, 100%. All right. You've answered a few in a row, which is nice. Where are we? How has your mindset changed from you when you were doing something you love for now doing something for a living? So I had this weird mindset where when I was playing footy for the love of it, amazing, great. But when I started getting paid for it, my mindset changed and was like, oh shit, now there's the pressure of them owning me. I'm on a team. You know, they're kind of like all these expectations that came with it. And I was like, Elliot, you're still the same footy player that you were when you weren't getting paid for it. Did you have, when it went professional, did you have a change in mindset or anything like that when you started getting paid for it? Nah.
Not really.
No, not really.
In BMX, you do it for the love.
You do it for the love.
Don't do it for the money.
Oh, right.
Trust me on that one.
The money might have been different in rugby.
Yeah. I had a couple weekends where I made good money in BMX, but it...
Yeah. I love that's fucking hilarious.
You don't do it for the money. Yeah. If you're doing sport for the money, you do anything besides BMX.
Or swimming, actually.
Yeah. So I never really had that shift. I may have had it when I was coaching, because when I started coaching, I kind of just did it because a dad asked me to help his kid. So I did it like super cheap, and we'd just train together. And then when that got busy and kind of had to start running it like a business, then my mindset did shift because I was like, people are relying on me to get results and they're paying me good money to help them get those results. So I was like, I need to take coaching a lot more serious to make sure I'm giving these people the best chance that I possibly can for them to be successful in whatever their goals are. So in that side of things, it definitely changed, but not in BMX. That was only for love.
This is a bit of a tricky question for you because I know you're sort of getting back into riding again, to racing. If your riding career ended tomorrow, what emotion do you think would hit you first? Relief, grief, freedom, or something else?
Freedom. Yeah. Because I think there's so many things in life that I want to do that take away from riding. Even like the last like couple months I've been running, and like running's like the number one thing you don't do when you want to be a bike rider.
Why's that?
Just like the way it affects your muscles and fast twitch fibers and stuff.
Oh, right.
So it's like, and obviously like on BMX, on bikes, you pedal in a circle. And the more efficient you are in that circle is how fast you can accelerate essentially.
Yeah, okay.
And the motion of running is just completely opposite, the way that you like push your legs straight down and back.
Yeah.
And so it's like running's so bad.
The worst for
yeah.
it.
But it's like, I love running.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can just challenge yourself. And as a kid at school, I loved cross country. I was good at cross country.
Yeah.
And so like just things like that. Like I went and watched a High Rocks event the other day. I'm not that interested in doing one, but I would like to do one just for just to challenge myself. Yeah.
They look cool though.
Yeah. It looks so fun. And just like even that, the community is what brings me in, and like just going to gyms and doing classes with people. I think the freedom as well would come from being able to go be in more community involved activities.
Well, if you want to come to Revel, have you heard of Revel?
Yeah, I think they invited me to train there a while back on Insta.
I do Revel at Maroochydore also.
Do ya?
Yeah, so if you want to come join,
I'll have to do one.
Shout out Revel. You want to sponsor?
But I train at Athletic Base a fair bit.
Oh, do you?
So I sometimes go do their group stuff, and he trained me a fair bit when I was racing.
Yeah, cool.
But like things like that, it's like community, and like I just look at like run clubs and stuff. I'm like, that'd be so cool to be a part of. But then like, if I want to ride my bike fast, it's like solo sessions in the gym, solo sessions at the track. And it's like, there's no one around you. It's like, none of my mates really do it. So it's like you lock in on your own so I think if my career ended tomorrow, I'd be free to do all them things and not have to second guess any of them.
I love that. And last one for you. How do you define success?
Oh, wow. Probably freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think everything I do in life is to get to a point essentially where I can do what I want to do. And I think Peter Crone said it. Actually, I listened to this on the plane yesterday
He's great, isn't he?
Coming home from Melbourne. He said, you ask people what they want and they'll be like $1 million. And he's like, all right, I'll give you $1 million, but I'll lock you in a jail cell for a year. And they're like, but that's not what I want. He's like, no, what you want is freedom. What the money will give you, essentially. And I think that's what I just want in life in general. I want to be able to wake up, have the freedom to go do stuff with my nieces, my sister, my family, go. And like, I'm kind of getting that now, even with coaching, because like the hours are very low and stuff. I usually have every day free. But I think that would be success, because I've won things I wanted to win, which I would have thought was success back then, and it didn't give me the things that I wanted. So I think, waking up and doing things I want to do every day with my purpose is my definition of success.
Thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I do have a closing tradition. I don't know if you're aware of it.
I've listened to a few, but I don't remember.
So for everyone listening, so my closing tradition is I don't actually ask the last question. I get family and friends. They send in questions for the guests.
Oh, right. I did. I was listening to...
Who are you listening to?
Oh, who was I listening to? It was a rugby player.
Yeah, it would have been Keegan's maybe.
Or
Todd Carney?
Todd Carney?
Yeah,
Todd Carney's.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You do some work.
We do some work, brother.
This is cool.
So, questions today. you did mention them just before. Is it Tani,
Yeah.
your sister?
Yeah. Oh, this is what you were prepping earlier.
What's one thing you wish more people understood about mental health, and how do you stay strong when things get tough?
Whoa. I think when it comes to mental health on its own, I think when it comes to suicide, especially, I wish more people understood that. I think majority of people that take their lives don't actually want to die. They just don't know how to live. I think you see young kids that take their own lives at like 14 and stuff that have been bullied and stuff. And it's like, obviously they probably don't want to die. It's just, they don't know how to cope every day with that type of stuff. And well, this is deep. So yeah, I think when it comes to even like supporting friends and family and stuff that are going through these things, I think it's not about fixing the problem. It's about just helping them navigate what it is they're dealing with, because our entire life's going to be full of problems. We're never going to be able to change that. Things will come up at the least expected times. And I think just navigating that, making people feel worthy that are around you and loved is the number one way to, I guess, help stop that stuff. And what was the second bit? It was how do I deal with hard times?
Yeah, how do you get yourself out of some hard times?
Recently, well, like now, I definitely just go to loved ones, people that understand what I'm going through, or I talk to people about what I'm going through, and I try and know what my purpose is and chase that every day. I think when you have a purpose that's truly ingrained in who you are and what you want to do, I think it's hard to keep dwelling on the bad things in life, because I think your purpose is so fulfilling that it will always shift your mindset to a more positive state.
I love that. We got a couple more.
Yeah.
Indy,
my niece. She's the oldest.
is she?
Yeah.
What's the most memorable thing you remember doing when you were my age?
Oh, wow. How old is she?
So how old is she?
10 or 9. I think
9.
she's 9. They must be 3, 5, 7, 9.
Yeah.
When I was 9. Wow, I don't know.
You would have been racing still, wouldn't you?
I was definitely racing.
Yeah.
Most memorable thing. Oh, she's got me stumped there.
Does she?
I would say it would have been bike riding.
Yeah, something to do with bike riding.
It would have definitely been bike riding. Similar to her with dancing. I think back then I just loved my sport so much that every day was just a blessing.
Yeah.
It would have been either that, or I have real deep memories of sleeping on the lounge room floor with my sister watching Hannah Montana till like midnight. Or just Disney Channel.
Disney Channel in general. Yeah.
Because we had a super cool house with like a sunken lounge room and stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd just like on weekends, we'd just sit in there and sleep just on a blanket on the floor. We wouldn't have mattresses or anything.
That's the best.
And we just watched Disney Channel till we fell asleep.
That's sick.
I don't know if I was her age, but I would have been around then.
And last one from Amity.
Hi, Uncle Jayce. What would you do for a job if you never started BMX?
Good question.
That is a good question. I've kind of, in a sense, just started doing it. But from motocross, my goal, which is kind of still my goal now, is to be a professional supercross trainer.
Really?
Yeah. So I just started working with one of the Monster Energy Yamaha riders.
Yeah.
His name's also Jayce.
Perfect.
We're the only 2 Jayces we know of.
Yeah.
But that's who I was in Melbourne with on the weekend.
Okay.
So I've started helping him with training and just like mental preparation and stuff for races.
Yeah.
But I definitely would like to be a motocross and supercross coach, and it's kind of coming true one day at a time.
I love that.
Yeah. So, and like while I was down there, another rider asked me to start training them. So it's kind of all working out.
The ball's rolling, I think. Yeah.
Whether that would have still been a thing if I didn't go into BMX, I'm not sure. But
Oh, that's
it doesn't
amazing.
have to do with BMX.
Thank you so much for coming on today and being so honest and open and vulnerable and sharing your story. It's been so good getting to know you on a more personal level, and I think we we're quite similar in certain things, which is nice. And yeah, just your outlook on life, mate. It's I really enjoy it.
No, thank you for having me on. It was good to hear your story too. We'll get that gym session in.
Yeah, we'll get the gym session without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Thanks, brother. Cheers, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Mind Your Head. If you'd like to support the show, be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really supports the show and helps others discover us. Don't forget to join us on Instagram and TikTok at mindyourhead.podcast.